Why do you hate the people that you hate? I'm a principal. I hate parents who use their kids. Parents who really should have spent some in therapy before having kids. Parents who are really just children themselves in adult bodies, living out petty little intrigues and making parenting decisions based on how they think it makes them look on social media. I hate them. I've watched them screw up their kids year after year, and I'm burning out on my job because of it. Obviously, plenty of parents I've forgotten, people fade into the background if they never made much of an impression. But a small number of them. I still think about them daily, and I wish I could punch them in the face. They're loud and obnoxious, use their intelligence, if they have any, to belittle people and inflate their own ego. They're more than willing to kick someone's ass to show how much of a badass they are. I hate exactly two people. One because he was supposed to be a friend, and instead he went behind my back and betrayed me multiple times in an effort to satisfy his own cravings, and the other because she hurt multiple members of my family both mentally and physically, and to this day shows no signs of remorse. I hate one person, my wife's mother. She did not allow my wife growing up to have friends, have a job or learn how to drive. She deliberately stressed my wife out so much day in and day out so my wife would get sick and always be vulnerable and dependent on her. When we got married, even though we lived with them for 3 years, she would violently yell at my wife every single day for not spending enough time with her. Luckily we are out and cut her off. I hope she dies alone and miserable. The only circumstance in which I would want to see my mother-in-law again is if she was in front of me having a heart attack, so the last thing she would see is me not calling 911. I hate people that act holier than thou or pretend to know everything, even to the extent where they will ask you what something is and then pretend they just forgot about it. If we can't have a convo without you saying yes I know to everything, we aren't friends. Especially when they tried to tell me about my own experiences, I have no patience for it. There's this kid who I loathe. I caught him staring at my ex's tits, she was uncomfortable, so I told him to not do it. He continued to do it and always gave me this smirk after. He then started going around making up some pretty serious rumors about me and friends that ended with a friend getting kicked out of school. Whenever I see him at school alone he turns away and doesn't even look at me, but as soon as he's with his friends or online he becomes this thug and acts like he's the shit. She manipulated my best friends to hate me, constantly blaming me for things I didn't do, or making me look obsessed with one of my friends just because I spent more time with her than with the others. We had a lot more in common IDK, and saying that I was in love with her, I wasn't. Always saying bad and fake things about me. So I was kicked out of the group. Later I put her number on a lot of ads of growing penis creams Lamau. People from this one state. I went to high school there and dealt with the richest of them, they were kind of assholes. Also my hometown is currently overrun with people moving from this state, and they're changing the culture, and politics, really rapidly. The individuals I've met from there are mostly wonderful people, but I have to refrain from going off about how much I hate most people from there. Entitled fucks. Because they have no respect for my relationship and keep trying to make contact with and flirt with my so. They probably think that they can have anyone in the world because they are good looking, and honestly, with an attitude like that the person could be a 10 in the looks department, but I'll still find them ugly. I don't hate any group. I have worked with pedophiles, rapists, murderers, etc. Because of this I don't hate them, they are people with struggles who did bad things. Because of my experiences I'm blown away that people can hate other people simply because they have a different opinion. Reality is, if you led that person's life, you likely would think very similar. Because my mother's health was impacted adversely from my stress at trying to manage this person at work. The person wanted my job and lied about me when I was very sick. After a formal investigation where all but one minor matter of her numerous allegations were found to be unsubstantiated, she was paid to walk away. It is very difficult to prove someone is a vexatious complainant, and where I live it is illegal to sack someone for making a formal complaint. While I understand that and appreciate my workplace supporting me, her payout feels like she was rewarded for her behavior. My mother's health hasn't recovered and I feel guilty for not shielding her more from my stress. Trying to work on forgiving this person and myself. I hate this one customer that calls in and doesn't wear a mask when he picks up his food. He keeps claiming medical condition that prevents him from wearing one. His daughter doesn't wear one as well. The reason I hate him is because he cost me a regular who rightfully so yelled at me for not enforcing the mask mandate to enter the restaurant and making him think it's just a suggestion. I hate this person because they were toxic and didn't deserve my friend. He was my friend's significant other, now ex, at the time, and he was the absolute worst. He manipulated my friend, made her anxiety worse, was an asshole to me and the rest of our friend group, was a total hypocrite, and flirted with others. He had locked one of our friends during school because they made an innocent joke about her and he called me and another mutts. He would always get mad at the little things she did, but it wasn't a problem when he did it. He flirted with me and some other classmates whilst they were dating. Started petty drama just because I watched JJBA. Got mad that a character she made for her Wattpad story was named after him was bisexual. He said she wasn't bisexual because she was dating him. He was a fucking dick, I hated him. We all did. P.S. If you're reading this, fuck you Stephen. Rot in hell. I can really only think of one person that I hate personally. I'll just refer to them euphemistically as you. You was a foreign friend of mine, and we were stupid close. They're married so no relationships here. We really wanted to live near each other and we'd visited each other several times. During one of my visits I had kind of hit it off with their roommate and we had a long distance thing going on. You suggests I marry the roommate. We were a bit skeptical at first, that's a big decision, but you convinced us. It was something we were looking at, but we'd been seeing if there was a way to get me immigrated without marrying first so that if things didn't work out when it was in person we weren't locked in completely. You changed that because they wanted me over there, and they promised they'd help with visa paperwork and stuff, so me and you's roommate became engaged and married on my next visit. You then backed out completely. I legitimately think that once me and the roommate were wed, you realized that suddenly I had someone closer than them and so they got extremely jealous. Suddenly they were uncomfortable with the plan they had come up with and didn't want to lift a finger to help in case they became liable for something, I guess. They started treating the roommate, now my wife, like absolute shit up to the point that they kicked her out. She stayed afloat because you's other roommate left with her, but it was still a dick move. This also seriously screwed my visa up because my wife alone couldn't sponsor me financially and you made enough that they could. They, and I remind you that getting married before moving was all their idea, refused to do it after promising to. I had a backup, strangely enough someone else I was close with that you hated, who made it work, but it really screwed things up for a minute. Eventually we stopped talking. I'm living with my wife now and we are extremely happy, but it stings a little knowing we skipped over a lot of things and got a bare-bones courthouse wedding rather than any larger event that we might have gone for otherwise, all for the benefit of an absolute douche who then refused to do the things they'd promised they'd do. They also implied I was a bad person for trying to hold them to their promise, because they couldn't handle not being the most important person in my life. Fuck you. My dad's girlfriend. Acts like a bad-tempered 4-year-old. Emotional intelligence on the negative scale. Gets jealous of me and my sister for spending time with our father. Insults us straight to our faces and even went as far as to say she wished we would die. Manipulative and narcissistic. Oh. Did I mention she also had an affair with my dad being completely aware he was married? I know it is my father's fault, but I also believe choosing not to be a home wrecker is setting the bar quite low. Because I can tell which memes their opinions come from. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.